So this is actually my setup from college and on. But this board I'm mainly using for my Strat style guitars. But for this pedal board, it starts with this one's mine, a buffer. I had some old Voodoo Labs pedal mounts, and so I just drilled a hole in one of those and then screwed it into the back of this pedal board. Now from there it comes into a Soul Preacher, and which is a really cool compressor. If you turn it up enough, it actually distorts naturally, and so but it also has just kind of a good clean squash sound and a kind of a light compression sound. Serves all my needs, and it's very fun and cool to use with distortions actually and overdrives. After that, it goes into a SL drive, which is a awesome sounding SLP Marshall distortion. Thing I don't like about it is the volume knob is super small, so I can't hit that with my foot, but if I need to tweak it volume wise, I'll just cut the difference and turn down the distortion. But another way I cut down volume is just adding bass or cutting treble. You know, that's another way. If you add mids as well, that can help you cut through without having to get louder. But now after the SL drive, it goes into a Maxon OD9, and this is just a tube screamer circuit. Maxon was the original company, and they're definitely my favorite tube screamer. And so I just went with the Maxon. It ended up being cheaper, and I've had this thing since about 2001, and no problems. I changed the jacks out. That's about it. Amazing sounding pedal. You use it more as a boost, you know, so I crank the volume and the treble more than the drive. And after that, I have a old full tone full drive 2 that I mainly use along with the Maxon as a dual tube screamer sound. But I also love the comp cut, then having a separate boost. So I could have a boost that was always on, and then I could cut my volume with a pedal and then raise it with a boost. But the comp cut just sounds wicked, sounds awesome. After that, it goes to a Micro Vibe, Voodoo Labs. And this just, when I was going down the vibe rabbit hole, this one to me sounded the most like, you know, Robin Trower and Hendrix. And I mainly like this one as a kind of a swooshing sound, or I'll turn it up kind of as a faux Leslie speaker sound. Real fun pedal, so I can get my Hendrix on. And then I have a Line 6 DL4, which is just one of my absolute favorite pedals. This is the third one I've had. This one has lasted, this is probably like 2005 or 2006, so, which is amazing for a pedal. And I've just had to clean it. But the cool thing about this pedal, I have like one just freak out setting. It's kind of like I have another setting on the source audio that kind of mimics this, but I mainly use this one. I'll try to play really fast, and then it gives, to me, it sounds like a keyboard pad, you know, kind of going on all the time. But it's a very cool sound. I usually use a digital delay and a tape echo, like an Echoplex. The greatest thing about the Line 6 is, you know, when you turn the knobs. So you just have to turn the repeats up. No. Endless fun. And then lastly, I have a Giggity preamp pedal. I just bought this pedal on a whim, and it's a very cool EQ pedal. You can get some cool Eric Johnson sounds out of it. But mainly keep it on all the time, and just kind of tone down my amp and really use it to fine-tune the room. Even if I'm playing in the same club, you know, depending on the humidity and temperature and the amount of people in there, you know, my treble and my volume are going to need work, basically, you know, and so that's kind of the only things I typically adjust when I'm at a show. And I always have a volume pedal. I like this Boss one because it has a kind of a knob on the side. So I'll actually turn the sensitivity down, and then I get more of a console sound. So if you have a sensitivity all the way up, you know, and turn the volume up, the rest of the band just always gets louder, you know, and so, which to me is a huge compliment. That means they're listening to me, which is, I'm always amazed when the drummer's listening to me. You know, that's my favorite when I'm playing. So that way, you know, like a console, you can turn the volume up and you don't notice it as much, or hardly at all. That's I call this my Strat board, and it's really just kind of my old equipment I used to use. And the reason I have all these pedal boards is, you know, honestly, I don't use any of these pedals unless they're set up. You know, if it takes more than like 3 cables to set something up, you know, and I don't usually use one pedal, you know, I'm not gonna do it. Like it's probably not gonna happen. So, you know, I like to have them all set up, and I'm also, you know, experimenting a lot with different cables on this. I have the lava cables, and I've had a lot of luck with those, but again, I mean, it's not the cable, it's the Velcro. You know, if you don't have good Velcro, you know, it's not really worth using the non-soldered cables, because, you know, they'll just wear out really quickly. But if you do have Velcro, you know, the lava cables last a ridiculously long time. If you get the pre-made ones, they're actually soldered, so be careful with that, and they're actually a different size. So that's something I've noticed with my pedals. And, you know, when you notice when your jacks don't fit right and start popping, for me, that's usually because I'm using different size jacks, and so they'll push the little tongue thing that hits the tip, and they'll just push it out. I always try to use the same diameter cables in my guitars, or now I've been using these True Tone jacks, so you don't have to worry about that as much. Lastly is a little project board I've been working on, and this one is designed to go before my pedal board. So I'd have guitar, I call this my fuzz board, and then I'd have my pedal board, and then my volume pedal, and then my amp. So these are all the pedals that I just don't want to mess with a buffer with, basically. So I have them all before a buffer, and there's no buffer on it. So for this one, I've been experimenting with a lot of different signal paths, and right now I have it set up as, you know, the boost is first, just to kind of get the fuzzes fuzzier, basically. And this is a build your own clone tri-boost, I believe it's called. I built from a kit. It sounds really cool. It has some really cool gritty boosts on it, I think. And next is this really cool pedal I bought from Craigslist. And this one was actually broken when I bought it, so I just dumbly thought that I could try to fix a pedal to figure out how to build pedals, and basically learned that I'm really not good at building pedals. And I can do amps and guitars and bigger things, but a little too small for me. But with this one, I somehow figured out how to get it to work. There was just one wire that was disconnected from a breadboard, and so I had to figure out where that went, which was an ordeal. And then I didn't think it was fixed forever because the jacks are on the wrong side. So I plugged in, nothing happened. I was like, oh, it's broken. And then years later, I realized, yeah, that the jacks are on the wrong side. So, but the cool thing about the butt fuzz is it is a voltage controlled fuzz, which are my favorites. So you can get that really sputtery sound, and also just its name is fun. But the guy who makes these pedals is called Buttronics, of course. He also makes rack-mounted vaporizers, you know. It's hilarious. So definitely check him out online. I don't think he makes pedals anymore, actually. But next is a Moore Lo-Fi machine, and it's just a ring modulator. So I get all my Nintendo sounds from there, and just especially ring modulation and fuzz go together like nothing. Next, we have another voltage-controlled fuzz by Fuzz Hugger called the Agile Fuzz, and this one's really cool. You get a lot of different sounds from, you know, even martially kind of high gain, not fuzz, not quite into fuzz territory sounds if you turn the distortion down. But it also has a voltage fuzz, and to me, I'm always trying to get like a ripped Velcro sound out of my fuzzes. So the voltage is, for me, is where it's at, voltage control. And the voltage knob just drops it down to like 2 volts, and I'll often use that with tube screamers as well, kind of turn down the voltage, and to just warm them up, and cuts a little bit of the gain in a nice way, just slightly. Then after that is a Digitech Freakout pedal. You know, the first thing I did when I got an electric guitar was I grabbed one of those sustain pedals from the piano and tried to, I don't know what I was doing before the internet. No, I was just plugged it in every hole to try to get the guitar to ring out as long as possible. To me, that's kind of why you use an electric guitar, just kind of that sustain. And that's really the fun part, that feedback. You know, so the Freakout pedal, just I immediately got that when it came out. It's one of my favorite pedals. You know, this one has old style Velcro, so I don't really take it out of the house, and just it's fun to play around with. Right now I'm experimenting with just daisy chaining all the pedals together, and I'll use that ISO 5 power supply with it usually. You know, but I'm just trying different power supplies, and so those are all my pedal boards for now. I have a couple other pedals that I use, like a tube driver and tube factor. I usually just keep them on top of the amp and use it like it's part of the amp, like it's a distortion channel in the amp. So I don't typically have those on a pedal board, but I use them often. But those are my pedal boards. And thanks for watching my videos. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below. If you have any ideas for distortion combos, I'm always looking out for new pairings, and so let me know what your favorite distortion combos are and overdrive combos. And I hope you all have a great day, and make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.